Hi, everyone. Welcome. I wanted to update you about my personal goals of building muscle this year, what's working, what's not working. And I also wanted to answer some questions. So, if you're new around here, I did an episode that's number 197 about how to build 5 pounds of muscle in 2025. Highly recommend listening to that episode. It answers so many questions that I often get about building muscle. So, it's very comprehensive and it will give you a plan for both training and nutrition to build muscle this year in 2025. I love the idea of building 5 pounds over the span of a year. I think it is very realistic and yet it's tangible. It will force you to train in the right ways, but not overtrain. So I really like this goal. And I challenged really anyone who wants to participate to come along with us. And my goal for this year is to periodically drop some episodes to give you some updates on personally what I'm seeing, because I have this goal for myself this year. I'm going to talk about my goal here in a second and also answer any questions that are coming up. So in today's episode, I'm going to tell you kind of where I'm at and I'll answer some of your questions at the end. So when I recorded the 5 pounds of muscle episode, I had just found out I was pregnant and I had built at that point 4.2 pounds of muscle. And when you're pregnant, they don't recommend getting DEXA scans or body scans. So I had to stop getting scans. So I wasn't sure where I ended up by the end of the year, but I do think that I ended up building the 5 pounds of muscle by the end of 2024. So within like about 4 months. Now, 4 months is quite a short time to build 5 pounds of muscle, but remember that I had already built that muscle mass before having a baby, and then I lost muscle when I was postpartum in the 5-6 months postpartum. And so when you build muscle for the second time, it comes back much quicker, which is a really cool thing about muscle. It has something to do with muscle memories and the nuclei within the muscle. So I built probably about 5 pounds of muscle by the end of the year. We'll never know for sure, but I'm going to go with it because I felt really good. I felt really strong. I noticed more physical muscle definition by the end of the year. And I decided that I wanted to continue building muscle through pregnancy. Now, I won't be able to track objectively if I'm actually building more mass because I won't be able to get body scans throughout this pregnancy. So I'm basically going to go by how I feel. My strength increases. Am I physically seeing more muscle? Like that's a great way to just kind of check. Like you can tell, like if you can see more muscle or if you feel stronger, you feel more stable, your lifts are going up, you're probably building muscle. So that's kind of my goal going into pregnancy. I'm due in August. So my goal is to stay consistent, build muscle, stay strong throughout my whole pregnancy. I do think that in my last pregnancy, my first pregnancy, I continued to build muscle throughout that pregnancy and strength. I felt stronger than ever during that pregnancy. So I do think it's possible. That's maybe a topic for another time, is building muscle during pregnancy. But in short, you really just apply all of the same things that you apply when you're not pregnant to build muscle. Really nothing changes except maybe some of the exercises. I am taking the prenatal program when I'm not teaching. So I'm teaching for the membership twice a week, 2 classes a week, plus steady state, so 3. And then on the days that I'm not teaching, I'm taking the prenatal program. I filmed a prenatal program when I was in my first pregnancy. I filmed 5 classes for every single week of my pregnancy. So what's cool is the app, you put in your due date and it gives you your week of classes, and each week they change. And I'm there with you teaching that week of classes. So today I took prenatal week 15 lower body build, and I was 15 weeks pregnant with my first baby when I taught the class. So that was kind of cool to see. So I'm taking those prenatal classes. A couple things that I am changing though in my workouts is I have a 10-month-old and I'm pregnant. My fatigue feels a little bit higher this pregnancy than it did in the first pregnancy. This could be because it's just a different pregnancy. It also could just be lifestyle things, but I do feel a bit more fatigued in this pregnancy overall. And so I am taking more breaks in my workouts. So for example, in lower body build today, I was cueing drop sets, and instead of doing the drop sets, I just took a break. And then I waited until we did the main lift on the other side. So I'm taking more breaks. I'm letting my heart rate come down, and I'm really trying to focus on getting close to failure in the main lift. I'm also taking more stable exercises. So instead of, for example, like a wider stance Bulgarian is not feeling very good for me right now, and so I'm taking like up more of the B stance lunges with the back foot closer in, or hip thrusts where I just have more contact with the floor, and those are feeling really good for me. So, and you don't have to be pregnant to apply these things, right? If you are struggling with fatigue, or like if some exercises you just don't like or don't feel super stable, and you can always swap for more stable exercises, especially if that allows you to get close to failure sooner in the muscle. So those are kind of the things I'm tweaking. I get asked this a lot. I am taking creatine. I've passed this by my doctor. I'm not saying that creatine is safe for pregnancy. I think it is, but this is just something that you need to talk with your provider about before you take it. But I am continuing to take creatine throughout pregnancy. I'm also continuing to eat high protein. I'm eating 1 gram of protein per pound of pre-pregnancy body weight. And oftentimes I'm trying to get higher than that. I feel like when I eat higher than that, those are the days I feel the best. Like I feel the most energized. I feel like I recover better between my workouts. So I am just trying to eat really high protein. Now, something interesting happened last week that I wanted to touch on here, because this isn't about pregnancy or anything like that, but this might be relevant for those of you, for anyone, especially this time of year. It's February when we're recording this. Last week I was sick. And so I thought I was feeling better. I tried to do a lower body workout, and the next day I got so much worse. And so clearly my body was not ready to exercise and train. And so I realized, okay, I need to rest. And so I rested for a few days. So last week I really only did 2 workouts, and they were the workouts that I had to teach for the membership. But if I didn't have to teach, honestly, I probably would not have exercised. And a lot of people worry about this, because I do recommend resting if you're sick. I don't recommend lifting if you're sick, because it's just going to make it worse. Your body needs recovery when it's sick. If you are stressing it with exercise, you're going to delay your recovery. So just rest. You can always get back to your workouts when you're feeling better. And a lot of people worry about not seeing themselves regress by taking time off. And what's really cool is I felt so strong when I came back to my workouts today and yesterday. Like I was chest pressing 35s, no problem. And so it's so cool. Like I feel like I just didn't lose any progress, even though I took a lot more time off than I typically do last week. So I just wanted to share that in case those of you that are sick and taking time off, don't panic. This is also why it's important to invest in building muscle at least once, because even if you do have to take an extended time off and you lose some muscle, you'll gain it back quickly the second time. All right, let's get into some questions that are coming up lately. So one of the most common questions, and I did address this briefly in episode number 197, but how to measure your muscle mass if you're not getting a DEXA scan. So a DEXA scan is the most reliable way to measure your progress, your lean mass progress. And in some of the big cities, they have affordable ones. You can look into Body Spec. I think they have them in like LA, San Francisco, Austin, a few other cities. There might be other competitors that are similar, and I think they're like $40. But if you don't have access to a DEXA scan, then how do you track your progress? So keep it really simple, right? If you are going up in your weights and you're seeing more visual muscle mass changes, you're increasing your muscle mass. How much? Of course, we can't know for sure. But again, the 5 pounds is not about precisely getting to 5 pounds. It's just about increasing your muscle mass and staying consistent overall. So you might not know exactly how much you're building, but it's not really about that, because building muscle is also like a lifelong journey. So it's not necessarily about the 5 muscles precisely, but you know you're making progress if you are starting to slowly lift heavier and you're just seeing visual changes in your muscles. If you want, you can take pictures, right? And just compare the pictures. I think that sometimes that can get a little, it can get a little dicey, but do that if you want. There are also body composition scales. And for the podcast, I ordered one because I wanted to see how reliable these are. And I ordered one from Hume, Hume. Not sponsored at all, paid full price. But what I did is I got my DEXA scan. This was pre-pregnancy. I got my DEXA scan, and then right after my DEXA scan, I did the body scale at home. And the DEXA scan and the body scale showed very different results. And the body scale, I believe, underestimated my fat and overestimated my muscle. So it was not very accurate at all, the body scale. However, and it might overestimate your fat and underestimate your muscle. The point is, it's not very accurate, but a body composition scale can help you identify trends, because hopefully, although it might not be super accurate, hopefully it's consistent. So, if you are consistently gaining muscle, it will hopefully show that, even though the overall absolute values might not be super reliable. So that is something that you could look into getting if you are someone that you want to see more kind of objective numbers. But again, strength visually with your eyeballs, taking pictures, all of those things work too. Okay, the second question that I got that I wanted to address is, what if you're not seeing progress? What should you do? Number one, I think a lot of people are simply not training close to failure. Like we think we are because we're tired by the end of our set, or you really feel the burn, or you really feel the fatigue, but you don't actually have a decrease in velocity. And if you're taking the Evlo classes, you will see us getting close to failure. And a lot of times I will say, like, this is what it looks like to get close to failure. Your rep speed really, really slows. If you feel like you're being stopped by the burn, then go up and wait and do fewer reps. I think that I read a study, and I don't think I'm going to be able to find it because it was a while ago. I read a study that said when people auto-regulate how close to failure they get, they think they're getting, 3 or 2 reps shy of failure, when in reality, they were getting 9 reps shy of failure. And that set is not a very high stimulus set. So that set of getting 9 reps shy of failure will not provide very much muscle growth, if at all. So what I would recommend is really trying to get closer to failure than maybe you think. Obviously, always being safe and prioritizing your form and things like that. If you feel like you're still not sure, try to lift a little heavier for fewer reps. You're more likely to get closer to failure if you do lift a little heavier for fewer reps. Eat a little higher protein. Maybe try tracking your nutrition a little more precisely. Things like that can really, just little tweaks can really help you dial this more. But let's say it's been 3 months and you're not seeing any muscle growth. What should you do? And you've tried all these things. You're applying all of these things that I taught you in episode number 197. I would recommend seeing a provider if it's been about 3 months and you're noticing nothing. Like your strength is not increasing. You're not noticing any muscle growth. I would try around 3 months, maybe 3 to 6 months. And the reason for that is because hormones do play a role in your ability to recover and build muscle. So there could be something at play there that is prohibiting you from seeing results. We had an Evlo member tell me her story about how she was doing Evlo. She was doing Evlo maybe 4 times a week consistently and eating high protein, doing all the right things. And she listened to my thyroid episode with McCall McPherson a few months back, and she decided to see a specialist. She said, maybe there's something up. And so what they found was that her testosterone was really, really low, which will absolutely affect how well she was able to recover and build muscle. And she said when they started addressing that, she noticed she was recovering a lot better. She could actually switch to, I believe she said she could switch to 5 times a week instead of 4 times a week because she was recovering so much better. So all of those things might play a role. Now, I caution you from doing this before you know you're applying all of the right things. But if you're someone that you're like, okay, I'm doing all the right things and I'm seeing no progress, maybe go see a practitioner who can assess your hormone levels. Okay, that's where we're at. I hope this was helpful. I will check back in a couple of months with more updates about where I'm at. And if you have questions, we'll make sure to I'll put a question box on my Instagram before I do another one of these to address any of your questions. All right, everyone, we'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Bye for now.